This is ESPN Esports. I'm Ardo Cal. The news is broke by Perkz himself on Twitter that he will be returning to the G2 lineup in advance of the Week 5 matchups. It is a very important week for G2, particularly the opponents they are playing and where they are in the LEC standings. Here are my 3 takeaways from Perkz returning to action in bot lane in G2. Number 1, of course we understand completely why Perkz took time off in Week 4 in the first place. His father passed away from cancer. He wanted to go back home to Croatia to be with his family, to be with his mother and siblings and extended family. Completely understandable. At the end of the day, family and your personal life will always be more important than work, no matter where G2 is in the standings, no matter what's happening with the team in terms of placement. And even if this happened in the middle of Worlds, family would be much more important. So we have to take that into consideration. Sometimes as a fan, you look at a situation and say, oh, we want the best team possible. But we also understand that these are human beings. So, of course, these kind of things are going to happen, and unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances are going to occur. And we completely support Perkz having taken time off. And we would have supported Perkz if he decided he wanted to take more time off, if he wanted to take half the split off to be with his family. Completely understandable. I'm sure that G2 feel the exact same way. If you were to ask any executive, Carlos on down, they would be completely supportive of whatever decision Perkz would have made. But his decision, according to his Twitter post, is to return to action in Week 5. So number 2, he comes back to a G2 team that went 1-1 in Week 4 with Pinoy, the substitute in the bot lane, who for all intents and purposes did very well. He played a comfort pick, Ezreal, on that Friday in a dub against Misfits. And then on Saturday, played a much different style. Played Senna. I don't believe he had played Senna in competitive play much at all going into this matchup. He was playing a little bit of a different role in a loss there. So G2 went 1-1 on the weekend. They are currently 5-4 in the standings, and it's a very murky, when you look past Mad Lions and Rogue in the LEC right now, G2 is currently tied for 3rd with Misfits with a 5-4 record. But other than Schalke in 10th, basically 3rd to 9th is a giant sandwich, a giant traffic jam. And any of those teams, they're only one game separating all of those teams, either a 5-4 or 4-5 record. So there is a lot to be decided in the second half of the summer split, and G2 is in the middle of that, and not many people would have predicted that. Now, this weekend is very important, which leads me to my 3rd point. Mad Lions is the game on Friday. This is the team, as you recall, that beat G2, sent them to the losers bracket in the spring split, have some success against G2. They lost in week one, however, against G2. So G2 do have a little bit of momentum against Mad Lions. Mad Lions are currently tied for 1st with a 7-2 record. Very impressive. They look to continue that wave in the second half, but G2 could certainly reverse course or at least snowball a little bit with a victory there on Friday against Mad Lions. And then on Saturday, Origin, a team that beat them in week 1 of the summer split, they are 4-5, our Origin. So looking to get a revenge victory there against a team that has beaten them already in the summer split in the LEC. So G2 have 2 very important matches here, and now they have Perkz returning. A big question, of course, will be once he does return back to action. Yes, this team have a lot of chemistry, but remember, there was the role swap again, 2.0, at the beginning of the split. You got to wonder how much scrim time Perkz is going to have with the team going into this weekend, or whether or not it's even going to be necessary. Of course, practice is necessary, but in terms of rebuilding that chemistry, and more specifically for Perkz, more than the rest of the team, how will Perkz jump back into action? Will he just hit the ground running, and will he be able to just click right back into it, or will he need a little bit of reps outside of the Rift or just in scrims in order to get back into it and really ease back into competitive play? So it's going to be an interesting weekend for the LEC and for G2 in particular. And I had a chance to speak with the LEC commissioner, Maximilian Peter Schmidt. That article's up at espn.com/esports. One interesting note to come out of that was week 5 could have very well been the week where players were asked to return to studio. As you know, the LEC had a phased plan in order to make sure that players come back or personnel come back as safely as possible with all the measures that are being taken due to coronavirus. So step one was to bring the casters back. That happened in week 1. But in week 4, there was a scare. Trevor Quickshot Henry was in contact with people who had tested positive for coronavirus. Now, his personal test came back negative, but it was too late. And so by that point, they had made the decision to bring the broadcast back online with everybody separated for week 4. And I believe that week 5 could have been the week where they were asked to initiate phase 2, to bring players back into the Berlin studio, but that now has been at least indefinitely delayed. Perhaps week 6 might be the case. We don't know the exact timing. The commissioner wouldn't commit to a specific timing, but we do know that at least week 5 was thought about, and it would have been a great way or great time simply because we had the bye week, which we just went through this past weekend with no LEC action, but also to have the first half of the split played online and the second half of the split played on LAN. That was definitely a consideration there, but that of course won't happen. So at least for this week, G2 and the rest of the LEC teams will be playing from home, and Perkz will be back in the lineup for G2.